this is how we've come to the end of the month of January. This is your Frontier opening bell. I am boasting Amafai. And this is just trying to say goodbye to the first 31 days of the year 2024. Let's take a bit of a look back into Thursday's trading day, or Wednesday, by the way. Today is the middle of the week. Tomorrow, Thursday, the new month of February is getting started. So let's check Tuesday's day with Nigerian market bucking the rally that we've seen for several weeks by 1.5%. The market shift of 862 billion naira to start winding down the month of January. Is this end month correction? That's not we're sure about yet. Again, we'd like to see what the trend looks like today. Is this the market reacting to the raft of earnings that are beginning to occur on the Nigerian Exchange Limited? Let's see what today's Wednesday transactions look like. Then we'll begin to plot this way out. Just book profits for just one day and let the rest of the market move on the morning after. How investors in Nigeria in the Nigerian market will price those latest earnings for full year 2024 or 2023 into the new year was anyone's guess. But let's leave that. We've got a couple of those earnings on tap as we speak. The BRVM next door to Nigeria was down by 14 basis points, 207.46. The Egyptian market continued that rally that we saw on Sunday, roughly 4% to the upside. On Tuesday, you've got the Nairobi market up very strongly, 1.8%, coming back from a bit of a softening since the start of the week and towards the end of last week, taking it back above the 90 level to 91.71. The stock market in South Africa, the GSE, the biggest exchange on the continent, up by 0.32%. Quite a very decent day there across some of the markets that we cover, including Zimbabwe stock markets as well. But let's get on to see what's making the headlines. And of course, you've got the IMF World Economic Outlook report, the first in the new year, which revised the October edition of the WEO outlook for the global economy, looking at 3.1% for this year, 3.1% for the global growth for 2024. Sub-Saharan Africa was also slightly reviewed. Nigeria will be 3%. South Africa will be doing about 1.0%. Not so stellar, but of course you've got some institutions such as Nedbank, very positive that South Africa is making some progress as far as the economy is concerned, despite the problems with Transnet and, of course, a bit of the ESCOM utilities power issues over the past year or two. Then, of course, the all political risk around the elections happening in April and what President Ramaphosa is talking about meddling in the South African elections, all that in the news for South Africa. But we've got the new latest global economic growth. According to the IMF chief economist speaking in South Africa on Tuesday, he said that all risks are now broadly balanced in the manner of speaking. Inflation is decelerating and some growth are beginning to be noticed in big economies such as the United States and leading emerging economies such as China, as well as and elsewhere. All that in play. But let's follow through and see what happens. Kenya is reporting current account deficit, roughly 4% of the GDP, while Tanzania's largest banks such as CRDB and NMB post about 1 trillion shillings in profit after tax. The CRDB yesterday reported the pause is about 8% for the period under review for the last part of 2024, and also reporting a handsome net profit. And Ethiopia is looking to set up an insurance regulatory agency, something similar to NICOM, which is Nigeria's National Insurance Commission, away from the central bank, try to continue those reforms within the country's financial services industry under Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. All that in place as, of course, Ethiopia is looking to formally open its Securities Exchange later in the year. A training for journalists who will be covering the financial markets being organized. And that's a good one there. And I dare say for the Ethiopian authorities putting that together to get the media to understand how the financial markets work, just as the capital market is there to be inaugurated. Then you've got Safaricom Ethiopia reporting a tripling in M-Pesa's users in Ethiopia to about 3.1 million for the final month of last year. And that's quite a hefty number as the Safaricom pushing in that iconic Safaricom Kenya's product, which is M-Pesa, into one of the biggest economies and most populated countries on the African continent after Nigeria. Let me walk you through the West Africa and Nigeria's headlines. With the Debt Management Office in Nigeria says it's raised about 420 billion naira in the January naira bond auction on behalf of the government. In the meantime, I mentioned earlier some earnings such as Geregu Power reporting 78% in revenue year on year for the full year 2023. Operating profit came in strongly higher year on year, 110%. Gross earnings, gross dividend will be 20 billion naira. That comes to about 8 naira per share. But that dividend yield is slightly below the company's current share price. So the dividend yield is trading well below the share price as we speak. But all that because Geregu Power is the only listed company. You got FCMB Holdings earnings also came in over the last 2 sessions. So you have Okomu Oil in the agro-allied as well as Wema Bank in the financial services sector. All of this lifting the cotton on the Nigeria's earnings season. The Bank of Ghana says, governor says inflation targets for this year is between 13 and 17%, while the figure for next year, 2025, will be between 6% and 10%, part of what Ernest Addison, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, said in his post-MPC statement on Tuesday. Take it down to Cameroon, where the IMF has approved additional $183.4 million in sustainability funding support for Cameroon within the CEMAC region. In the meantime, Ghana and Equatorial Guinea, according to Afrexim Bank, have signed on to FIDA. That's the export development agency that's set up by the EFDB to support export financing for private sector across the continent. Now, Ghana and Equatorial Guinea in West Africa have signed on to the establishment of FIDA, and that's some good news that Afrexim Bank and Intra-Africa Trade could use. Take it up to Southern Africa. And of course, the President Ramaphosa is saying that the case against Israel taken to the International Court of Justice, which asks Israel to maintain international laws as far as genocide is concerned, these operations against Hamas in Gaza, says that could result in outside influencing or meddling into his elections, which will take place in April. South Africa is going into general elections in April. The ANC, which is the ruling party since 1994, is looking to lose in the next elections, but all that is left for the voters. But President Ramaphosa, the sitting president, who is also contesting for a second time, says there could be some meddling by outside influences because of that case at the International Court of Justice. South Africa, however, scores a 12-year low in terms of corruption, which is the Transparency International report, which came out of London a few days ago. The IMF called South Africa's GDP shifted down to about 1% by 0.2 basis points because of the problem with Transnet. That problem had impacted not just broadly the economy, but of companies within the entire South African economy. The Reserve Bank of Malawi says it's looking at about 5.8% growth in the mining sector for the current year. Pepcor says its sales was up 7.2% in the Christmas quarter of 2023, and that's reporting for the final period of 2023 in South Africa. Let's get it on to North Africa and got a couple of stories out of Egypt, the biggest economy, the country looking to issue bonds in the UAE dirhams, rupees, as well as dollar to diversify the debt portfolio of President Al-Sisi's administration, looking to rein in various form of investors across the world in various currencies to support the Egyptian pound, which is being asked to be devalued further, and any delay or further devaluation could prove disastrous. And that's what the Egyptian billionaire, one of the billionaires, said a few days ago. Standard Chartered Bank has officially started operations in Egypt. That will deepen the market, bringing its footprints across the world, including Africa and in the UK, into the mix. Morocco is looking to invest about $1 billion annually in solar power projects, deepening the country's green energy footprints. And finally, Boutek Group says it's concluded a standard growth operation in Morocco. And those are some of the headlines we're tracking for you here on Frontier Opening Bell, starting today, Wednesday, the final day in January. Thanks. We make it all to the end of the month. I'll see you again tomorrow. February the 1st.